Welcome to Is Your Way in Your Way podcast, where your host, Cassandra Crawley Mayo, helps you break free from obstacles and live life on your terms. Get ready to embark on a journey of self-discovery, empowerment, and inspiration. Tune in as we dive into captivating conversations with experts and explore topics that will ignite your passion and drive. Are you ready to unlock your full potential? Let's dive in.
All my listeners, and I'd like to welcome you to Is Your Way in Your Way. And for my new listeners, that's actually the title of my book. So I'm like, why not have a podcast talking about Is Your Way in Your Way? And we actually talk about topics related to self-improvement, maybe business improvement, self-development, and all those types of things. And our topic today is going to be God's greatest gifts come in fascinating packages. I cannot wait to hear that. But before we dive in, I want to remind you that this podcast exists for every woman who's ever stood in her way, whether it's fear, self-doubt, unfulfillment, being disconnected from your purpose, or the lies we believed for so long. It's time to release the blocks and rise into who you were always meant to be. And today's guest, Dr. Sue McCready, embodies that journey beautifully. Boy, I can't wait. So from her medical doctor to soulful transformation guide, Sue helps women navigate midlife shifts with grace, science, and deep spiritual wisdom. So if you're ready to stop surviving and start thriving in your midlife and beyond, this episode is for you. And let me introduce you to Dr. Sue McCready. Good day, Dr. Sue.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, I'm like backstage, like snap. Yeah.
Right. I know. I am so psyched, listeners, about this conversation. And you'll see why as we dive in. So if, in fact, you are sitting down, you may want to take a journal and write some notes. If you're driving, you know better. But the good thing about it, you can replay this and replay it, and also share it with your friends or individuals who you believe this will be in their best interest, because I know you have some. But before we get started, I like to read Sue's bio only because I want you to get to know her. I want you to understand a little bit about what qualifies her to talk about what we're going to talk about. So she is a pediatric physician turned soulful transformation guide to midlife woman. After navigating her own battles with hormonal imbalance, miscarriages, and identity shifts, she now helps women in their 40s, 50s, and 60s reconnect to their inner compass, what she calls soulful medicine. Soulful medicine, guys, through a unique blend of science-backed strategies and spiritual tools like tarot and emotional decoding. She empowers women to break free from exhaustion, loneliness, and feeling lost in the grind. And gently, she reclaims the joy and fulfillment they were made for. Wow, let's dive in, Dr. Sue. Tell my listeners, what was your life like before you became a physician? What was going on with you?
Well, I am the baby of 5. And so there was a lot of, I would say, organized chaos in our family.
All right.
With mom and dad. And we were definitely a very close family with, traditions. Like a very big tradition of ours is, like every Sunday we go to church, So I was raised in like a very faith-based household. I mean, I remember my parents, like if I was out for sleepovers, they were in that friend's driveway, like TikTok, time
That's
for
right.
church. Let's go. So at the time, I thought it was very annoying. And now I can see as a parent of 3 just how foundational that was for me.
Mhm.
So I think that's a big part of what was going on before I became a doctor. The
Okay.
other thing is my mom. So my mom is 90 at the time of this recording, and she was a registered nurse, an emergency room registered nurse. And back in the day when you could bring your child to work, including the emergency room, I was following her around the emergency room. And it was really just this pivotal moment of like, Mom, wow, I really like this. I'm going to do what you do.
Okay.
My mom is a bit, if you end up taking the personality quiz that we're going to share, my mom is a visionary mama. She's also a detail mama, but she is like very much wants to call the shots.
Okay. Ooh.
And so she said very lovingly, don't be, because she's a nurse. I said, Mom, I want to be a nurse. She said, don't be a nurse, be a doctor. Don't take the orders, give the orders. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that just really shifted my path, and then I was just like, okay, I'm going to med school, and that was a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure.
So before I became a doctor, I flunked to the MCAT, which is the entrance exam to get into medical school. Essentially, I sort of flunked one portion of it and needed to retake it again in order to get accepted into medical school. And that same mama is standing behind me, just hand on both shoulders, while I was grinding away. Like I totally, her faith was so strong, where I was doubting myself all over the place. Her faith was just unwavering. Like, this is going to happen. No ifs, ands, or buts. And sure enough, I got into med school and became a doctor. And I thought, which makes a lot of sense now that I'm into coaching, I thought I wanted to be a psychiatrist. But once I did those rotations and realized what psychiatry meant in the medical field, I realized really quickly that wasn't for me. And I've always loved children. So when I was in my pediatric rotation, I was like, ooh, I am home. Children make me better. They make me a better person.
Okay. Sure. All right. So it's kind of like our title, God's greatest gifts come in fascinating packages. And we will talk about that a little more. So what qualifies you to do the work that you're currently doing? Or let me ask you this. Are you still a pediatrician?
I am actually. I am still practicing. Yes.
Okay. Wow, you have a big job. Because I want to know what empowers you to, with women, to break free from that exhaustion and that loneliness and feeling lost in the grind. What qualifies you to do that type of work?
Well, I think probably the biggest qualifier is I've been working with moms in my pediatric practice for over 2 decades. So I think at the time of this recording, I'm in my 23rd or 4th year of practice, which is crazy. And also means that I've worked with thousands of mamas. Like I've worked in, being present and helping them navigate often very painful, uncomfortable, sticky situations. Right. So I think that's probably my biggest qualifier. And also that I'm a midlife woman as well, and mother of 3. And it was really the moms in my practice, honestly, Cassandra, that helped me navigate my pathway in terms of how to help them, because they always kept on, what about me? How can you help me? What about me, Dr. Sue? And I was like, whoa, I don't want to do functional medicine for adults. And so I try to pivot all these different ways. And actually, this is my 6th entrepreneurial journey, the coaching business, and the 5th way of me being able to serve these mamas. So believe me, I have been around the block on figuring out ways in terms of how I can best serve them. And this was the one where, where you land on something, I was like, wow, this is my second calling. This is my lane. I'm in my lane. Like, this is what, God called me to do here, because it's just like comes really effortlessly and easily. And it's so fun.
Really? Oh, that's great.
So
Wow. But tell us about the messy process of becoming who you are today. Tell us about that.
So probably the messiest process and how God's greatest gift came to me and fascinating package is multiple miscarriages. So right around the time when I was finishing my training as a pediatric physician, I was also getting married. I was actually the chief resident at that time, which is like I finished my pediatric residency training. I was in kind of this administrative teaching role, right?
Okay.
And I just was recently married, and I thought, get married, have kids. Like
Right.
that's that. So my expectation was once you get married, our intention is to have kids, then you get to have kids.
Exactly.
And so that's not how it rolled for us. How it rolled is that I actually had 3 miscarriages before having our first daughter. And that was really, I feel like when, I don't know how else to explain it, but I felt like my spiritual growth was like a foot on the pedal. Like it really accelerated then because it was so painful to have these losses. Like all I wanted to just have a baby of our own to love, and I had these really fascinating conversations with God. I was really teed off. Like I remember this one run and I was just yelling and blurting, like I was pissed. I was so angry. Like I've devoted my life to kids. I'm helping kids heal naturally. Like, give me that child. Like it was almost like
now.
now.
That's right.
And it didn't happen that way. But I have to say, what I learned through the process was so many ways of alternative healing. First of all, that brought me to better help the kids that I'm now helping, which is translated into hundreds and thousands of children that I've been able to help from my learning through my journey of having multiple miscarriages. And that relates to nutrition and something called methylation genetics and things like that. But I've been able to turn that around and be like, because of this, now I can help you because I learned something. I grew through something. Now let me turn that around and help you in your pain.
Okay. Tell us about that, the genetic piece. What did you call that?
It's called methylation genetics, which is a very common genetic pattern. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know that I had it. And that was part of the reason as to why I was miscarrying these babies. But at the time, if you can think about, this was 22 years ago. So at that time frame, we didn't know that was part of the piece of the puzzle. And so it was kind of like we were walking in the dark, and I had some powerful dreams.
Oh, okay.
Told me, even though I didn't understand what was going on in my body, I had this very one powerful dream. I don't know if you've ever had an insight in a dream. You just wake up from that dream and you're like, I got to go do that. And the dream was a very powerful dream where I was the patient. And I was also the nurse was walking me around as if I was a doctor, but I was, I was like, in my robe. I was in that, that patient gown. And the nurse was walking me around to each of these patients and showing me their labs, even though I was a patient. They must have known I was a doctor. And showing me the labs that related to coagulation, like clotting problems. And I realized when I got up from that dream, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm clotting off these babies. I don't know why, but I'm clotting off these babies. And I got to go get started on baby aspirin. I did. I started on baby aspirin and brought our first child in this world. There was more than that. Like I was also receiving acupuncture and all. I was receiving a lot of support. But that was like, I really love that message that came to me because even though I didn't know, and methylation is a process that can lead to clotting, right? So even though I didn't have any process of cognitive understanding of being able to understand that yet, like clear message came through. Go start on baby aspirin, sister. And I did.
Wow. That's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, it
A
is.
total miracle. Yeah.
Yeah, that is. And you know what I like what you did, and for my listeners, you were determined. You were kind of like your mom. You
Yes.
know, I want to have a baby, and I don't understand why I'm not able to. And and then you had the three miscarriages, and then you had three girls. So,
3
you
girls.
know, yeah, isn't that amazing? And and because of that, and that's why I say in this podcast, is your way in your way, because there's certain things that we as women would like, and when
Mhm.
it doesn't happen, we give up, or
Mhm.
we use that and says, well, maybe it wasn't meant to be, or then you're
Mhm.
deflated because things didn't happen. But what you did is, number one, you got angry with God. And
I
listeners, I'm
did.
not saying get angry. I'm not saying that, because I've been angry with God. I mean, I have a chapter in my book called The Chair, and I won't,
Mm.
that's for another podcast, but I was so angry with God,
Mm.
and it was just unbelievable. And once that incident occurred, what I did, then I had a revelation the following day. And for
Uh-huh.
you had a dream.
I had a
You know,
dream.
so yeah, so God came to you in your dream, right?
Yes.
And I can relate to that because God speaks to me through my dreams. So we
Mhm.
definitely have some similarities. And that's why we say the greatest gifts come in fascinating packages. And your faith really helped you get through this. And that to me is just a blessing, because it kind of helps you, even though you're angry, like, okay, I'm going to be like my mama. I'm going to be determined. I'm going to have this baby. I'm not going to have any more miscarriages. And then he revealed to you. And that
Mhm.
happened for somebody else. Although we go through things, a lot of things that happen to us is not really for us. It's for
Yeah.
somebody else, for us to tell the story to them, to share that
Mhm.
there is hope in that. Wow. Now,
Yes, yes.
oh my goodness. Now, I want to talk about, you talked about a the mind flip question. Okay. Now, it's a mind flip question that changes everything. Tell us about that mind flip and how my listeners could use that, because many
Mhm.
of them are stuck and living their best life on their terms. They kind of know what it is, but they
Mhm.
just can't seem to get there. So let's talk about that mind flip questions.
So I get to credit this question to one of my mentors that I learned this from, Tony Robbins.
Mhm.
And he has this question. It's one of the first questions, when hits the fan, when you're just like, when you're getting angry or mad or frustrated. By the way, all emotions, right, are messages, and anger is a great motivator. If
Mhm.
you channel that anger in the love
Mhm.
and right direction, you are going
Mhm.
to get somewhere, right?
Yeah. Right.
So, um, so the question is, what's great about this? So, like, everything is apparently going wrong, which, by the way, is only our limited view lens, or
Yeah.
your limited view lens at the time, because often your way is in your way.
Yeah. That's
So
right.
it's just a mirror back to you, right? But in
Mhm.
these moments, if you can just ask, like, what's great about this? It
Yeah.
can really help your mind shift to, well, what's great about this? Like, and I want to say, I know that this isn't, I don't want to say this is just like, I think about that time when I'm in those multiple miscarriages. I
Yeah.
wasn't like, hey, what's great about this? That
Exactly.
wasn't
Exactly.
that wasn't a tool that I used at that time. I didn't know the tool. However, I do find it really helpful, as to when I feel like things aren't going my way, right?
Mhm.
To just say, well, what's great about this? And I think one of the best answers to what's
Right.
great about this is that I'm sculpting my soul. That's what I answer. I'm sculpting my soul. I am
Mm.
here sculpting my soul. I am
Mhm.
getting that baby ripped. Like, I am
Mhm.
figuring shit out.
Right. Exactly.
And it may look messy and it may not look right to me. And also, I believe it's God's way, universe way, source way, whatever you want to say. Like, it's happening for me, right? It's happening for me and through me, for me to turn around and share my gifts and my learnings with someone else. So what's great about this, I think, is a great flip. You can use it anytime in any situation, whether it's health condition, right? Whether it's a challenging relationship, right? Whether it's difficulty in work, it really can be used anywhere. Yeah, you just lean in with curiosity. It's almost like you put your hand, you put your hand on your chin, you just lean in and be like, wow, what's great about this? What's great about this?
Right. That's interesting. Even in the toughest times, if you get yourself, because sometimes I think of times in my life where it was so tough, I couldn't even pray. I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to call out to God. But that's interesting. And I will definitely use that. Like, what's great about this? And I could use that when I was starting my podcast. I'm over 100 and some now.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, and I was like, I can't do this. What am I going to say? It was like, oh my gosh. So that was all those limiting beliefs that prevented me from doing what it is that I really wanted to do. So next time I said, well, what's great about this? And then I could have said, blessing other women, empowering women. Take it off of me and put it on the others. So I like that. It's kind of like a spiritual reframe.
Very much so.
Yeah. Wow.
And if you're in the rough and tumble, like maybe you come up with your version of I'm sculpting my soul, I'm growing, something that makes you remember, like, to me, I feel like that's why we're here. We're here to sculpt your soul and be love, figure out all the ways of like how to embody love and be loving, right? And be loved, receive love.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're not growing, I said, you're dead. I mean,
that's right.
Right. Like, why are you here? And I used to ask myself, why am I here? But I read something about you that blew my mind, and it was a moment for me. And one of the things you said is living a life you love. I mean, you really love, you start getting to really know yourself intimately, understand who you are, your strengths, your quirks, and the incredible ways you can authentically make a difference. And that really struck me. And, I have an accountability partner. And one of our questions we ask each other every week, did you have an aha moment this week? And sometimes I love that about this. And my aha moment when I was reading this comment that you stated was, I am living a life now that I really love. I so enjoy empowering women. I'm on this mission to help women to start living their best life on their terms. And because of that mission, I also have a signature program called the Rise Journey. And then my program is Rise Beyond Limits to help women get from where they are to where they want to be. I'm like, wow. And by that, I'm beginning to know who I am. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I know what my boundaries are. And that's because we are doing what it is that we love to do. Now, if we don't, that's when we get confused, and those living your life to the fullest, it brings you joy, and that's why, I'm on this mission to support and empower other women. So I just want to thank you for that, because you're living a life you love right now. Isn't that correct?
I am living the life I love 1,000%.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's easy, by the way. It's not all rainbows and unicorns. And by the way, I definitely still get in my own way. And that's what I break down every day. I'm like, how are you getting in your way, Sue? Let's break it down. Right. Let's get in there.
That's right. So because you're loving what you're doing, what have you learned differently than you knew before? what have you learned about yourself?
So much.
Ready to design your dream life? Join Cassandra Crawley Mayo's Create and Design Your Best Life workshop. Break free from self-doubt and obstacles and step into a life of purpose and fulfillment. Click the link in the description to register now. Don't wait. Spaces are limited. Start living your best life today.
So much. I mean, definitely owning my gifts. Like I am very too much. I was once in this leadership conference or leadership program or whatever, and the woman said, "Sue, I would vote for you, but I think we'll drown in your tears," because I was like so emotional.
Yeah.
So I'm an empath. I'm very emotional, and I connect very easily. And so, like, learning that, sometimes we kind of know our gifts, but we tend to shut them off because they're not accepted. They, something happened along the way, right? And so then we kind of shut down our gifts and we start trying to people please and be all these things that we're not, And when I finally came back and just started owning, like, well, that's who I am. I'm kind of this weird, radiant woman. It's like, I'm a medical doctor and who loves tarot numerology. Like, if I can just like own it and say, well, this is what makes you unique and different. That's quirky. Right. That's kind of strange. I don't know how all those things to go together. But yet when you're, you lean in and get curious about seeing how it does. Yes. And then I feel like God and Source have really given me a way to it's like staring, like tarot numerology. It's like staring at an ink blot. You ever seen those things that psychologists use? Stare at the ink blot. What do you see? Like, it's just a way to access your subconscious, which, as you know, controls, the majority of your thoughts and feelings and behaviors and habits, and therefore actions and therefore results. So if we don't get underneath there, right. We're just swimming on the surface trying to make change when the vast majority of it is underneath. So really just, I think, accepting like who I fully am. And by the way, I'm still in the process. I think I'll always be in the process.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. It's not always a rainbow.
It's not always a rainbow. And it's, and also it's other, you have other relations, other people coming along with you, right? That are either like, is this all right? Or is this not all right? Can I accept this about her too? Or is this just like not okay? Right. And so I think that that's really where I've been able to step in and fully love myself. I think that's really about living a life you love is about fully loving yourself. And not denying your quirks and your gifts to try to adjust who you are to fit into somebody else's realm when God made you to be here, to be love in your unique way. And once you own that, you're like, hey, this is pretty freaking fun. Even when it is challenging, it's fun.
I know. So I love that. Yeah, because to me, authenticity is transformative. When you can take that mask off, those blinders off, and be you, it's amazing. But then, the childhood and all the stuff that your experiences, your personal experience, business experience, puts those blocks on you, and that's why, and like we both said, it's not easy. I had a friend that used to call my mom a lot. And I remember one day he said, I'm not calling your mom anymore for a while. And I'm like, why is that? He said, because she's always happy. And I'm not happy today. And I said, she was probably putting on. She probably wasn't happy either. But she had to put on the happy face and the happy voice because you were on the other line. I said, so don't get it twisted. She's not happy. And if you're always happy, to me, something's wrong. Like, what's wrong with that person? And you also, when you get to that spot, you attract things in your life.
Yes.
Yeah, like people that are negative and that energy drawn out of you, they kind of dissipate. I'm like, no, 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 because they're drawing my energy away from me. So I love what you said. That was my aha moment. And I can't wait to write that because our accountability meeting's tomorrow.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also think like the flip of that, right? Authenticity is magnetic. Like, so one of the things I would do is I'd selectively share myself. I don't know if you've ever done this before. Like, so when you're feeling safe with some peeps, then you'll kind of come out of the closet about something, right? But then over here in this corner, you're like, not sharing that, right? So one of the things I've been calling myself forward to is just get curious. What if you do share, And I remember sharing with someone who I was like, I don't know, we've just had funny kind of conversations over, and he stepped back and he was like, I like this Dr. Sue, meaning like I like this version of Dr. Sue that I'm seeing.
Yes, yes, that's right.
That's such a good reminder for me, because you cannot draw the right people in, right? If you're just not showing them who you truly are. I think that's just been one of the biggest lessons I continue to learn.
Right, right. And people know if you're perpetrating a fraud. I mean, I do. I can sense it. Like, oh, they're not. No, I don't believe what they're saying. Yeah, right. Wow. You talked about how important coaching was to midlife women. It's an important step. Why is that?
I think of midlife. I don't know how you think about it, but I think of it as this transition. There's a lot of identity shifting happening. I remember saying, so I'm the baby of 5. So to my oldest sister, I was like, how is this like menopause thing? And I think it was like, and here I am a doctor. I'm like, I'm going to get that in a year or two. She's like, Sue, it's like adolescence.
Right.
It's like a span of years. And so I really started to shift and think about, that's why I think coaching is so supportive during this time, because at this time you may be, in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, maybe shifting about what you want to do for work. Like what you used to do felt great, but now all of a sudden it's like not feeling so great. It's not a great fit anymore. Or you may be, in your 50s and 60s or wherever, and your kids are now out of the house, and a lot of like, well, who am I if I'm not a mom? In the mom way that my kids are home all the time, right? True. And so you start really figuring out other parts of your identity. And we have all of us have so many parts. We're not just one thing, we're many things. And so really getting curious about how to live authentically and kind of cultivate that sustainable happiness, not just like the fleeting joy when your kids come home and then you're happy and then they leave and then you're looking at maybe this partner that you're not a little disconnected from, I don't know. There's endless. So there's definitely relationships, in terms of even those changing, right? That's a big, if you've been, raising kids together and then your kids leave and then you're with this partner and you're like, I kind of like it when the kids are around more.
Right. Exactly.
Those type of, those type of things I think can just be really supportive to have kind of a shifting perspective. Because I feel like in coaching, to me, it is really just about leaning in, getting curious and asking questions, right? Exactly. More than anything else. And also helping you identify patterns, because like we like to say in coaching, it's not you, it's just a pattern. Right? It's just a pattern of you that's in your way, right? Exactly. So if you want to change, you get to change the pattern, right? See the pattern, use the pattern, create a new pattern. So see the pattern like, wow, that's not working for me right now. It used to work in childhood. It used to help me survive and receive love, be loved, but that is just not working for me anymore, right? Yeah. And I love that moment when they're like, oh my gosh, because my dad was like this, I'm projecting that at my work environment, and it's just like all the light bulbs go out. Because once you can see it, then you can actually get the pattern to use the pattern for you rather than getting whipped around by the pattern, right? And then step in and create a new pattern. Now that you see it, you're like, wow, what do I want to create with this? This is powerful stuff.
I know. Awareness is key. Recognizing it, calling it out. It's so key. You mentioned over the past 5 years, you got a thousands of midlife women through personal growth transformation, using proven research-backed techniques combined with real support. What type of proven research techniques have you used?
Oh, well, I mean, so many. I think a lot of my frameworks have been, from Tony Robbins is a big mentor of mine, and he's had Stanford actually research some of his works and frameworks. And, oh my gosh, there's so many. I'm trying to think about one of them that I absolutely love, and I think is about 6 human needs psychology and the framework that all of us share the same 6 human needs.
Yeah.
But we all prioritize them differently, and we all have ways of meeting those needs differently. And so if you want to be in a relationship with somebody, you get to meet their top 2 needs. You get to lean in and get curious about, like, what are your top 2 needs, right? And ways that you can meet them. And so without getting into all the specifics of that alone, like that framework, which has been, he's shown and developed that framework. He's been using that framework for probably over 40 years across the globe with millions. So, I think that's one of the most powerful frameworks where people are like, and they really start to, again, they're able to separate themselves so that they can see these are my top 2 needs. This is this person's top 2 needs. And this is why this isn't meshing. Right. Exactly. Or even in terms of your own life, like if you look in terms of your own life, like what are your top driving needs? Right. And you'll see if you want to shift into a new pattern, you might need to reprioritize your needs. And one of the biggest needs that people prioritize top is the need for certainty, the need for control, the need to feel comfortable, safe, right? And if you put that on top of every other of the needs, which are the needs to have variety and significance and love and connection and growth and contribution, you are going to have a very different life than someone who puts growth at the top.
Exactly. That is so true. That is so true.
So that's one of the proven frameworks that I use.
Okay, that's good. That's good, because they really have to think about, what are my 2 top needs? In some instances, we did an exercise at my church about what's your love language. Yeah, so it's good to know that what's their temperament, things of that nature. So, okay, I like that. I want to talk a little bit about hormones. The reason I want to talk about that, because I also have a chapter in my book about hormones.
Oh.
How the hormones are no joke. That's what I'll say. And every woman experiences them a little differently. We talk about menopause and post-menopause, all of that kind of stuff. Why, from your perspective as a medical doctor, even though you're in pediatrics and kids have hormones too, but what's so unique about hormones? Why are they important to know about, especially in midlife? What impact?
I think one of the most profound things I learned from a holistic gynecologist that I was interviewing for one of my summits at the time. And she just said, estrogen is on there are estrogen receptors on every single cell in your body, which means estrogen can affect every single system of your body. It is a master hormone, and it declines during menopause, right? And she had this fascinating analogy, which I was like, that's so brilliant. But basically, she thinks of, well, I won't get into it, but basically that's why I think that's why I feel like it's so, if it's on every cell of your body in the physical world, estrogen is queen.
Yes,
She
it
is
is.
important.
That's right. Very.
And if you don't figure out how to support this queen, during your lifetime, which is what her point was, like, this isn't just like, oh, we got to this period and now, like, let me run in and support you. Her point was, you best be supporting her all along the way with your diet and lifestyle. You're probably going to have an easier transition through menopause if you are, and you're not going to feel like you fell off a cliff.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And so it was really my talk with her. I was like, it's like, it's such a great way to see it and really give it the stardom that it deserves, basically. Estrogen. It's on every single cell that can affect every single system, your cardiovascular, your nervous system, your digestive system, obviously your hormonal system.
Right. Thyroids, right?
Thyroids.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to bring that up a bit because I dived off a cliff. And it was very painful. And I had no clue what was wrong with me. I'm like, I am losing my mind. And that's why I wanted to bring that up in a book, because you get foggy. But every woman's not like this. But there's some women that just feel down, lifeless, and I always say, get your hormone levels checked. Because you're right. Estrogen is queen. Estrogen is life. That gives you that that vitality, you draw people to you because you're feeling good. And then even testosterone, even though men have it, that could be, you're not feeling as confident, that's why they feel all confident and everything. And then you have that progesterone. So I always tell individuals just to get your levels checked. And it's good from a holistic doctor, because a lot of doctors don't believe in it. They're like, oh,
yes. Yeah. And it's kind of gotten the bad rap, which is part of what our discussion was on. And like I had another doctor on that debunked the whole thing. And it takes a long time to debunk something that, that's been around for a while, but there was a lot of flaws with that initial research in terms of hormonal replacement therapy. Right. And so I love supporting my hormones. It's been a huge help for me. And I like some people are foggy. Some people get eczema. Some people start to have allergies. Like, the whole list is like everything. I remember the joke was, I'd get a new symptom and I'd text my OB-GYN friend and she'd be like, yep, that's menopause. I was like, oh my God, everything is. Everything. And it makes sense, because with the other doctor saying, it's on every single cell in your body. So it can affect every single system, from your immune system with allergies, right? And I was like, this is like a funny joke on women. I was like, this is crazy, And so I've worked with a physician who does believe in hormone testing and hormone replacement. And even with that, it's kind of a wild ride, because your hormones are, during perimenopause, they're really hard to like target therapy, because they're kind of still like jumping up and down. Right. And then you get to the other side, even out. So even with that, it can be a little testy of a ride.
Yeah, it can. Even, women that say, my hair is falling out. Just, you don't know what you don't know. So
I'm getting migraines all the time.
Exactly.
Hormones.
Exactly. So I just, wanted to expose that to my listeners. It's a possibility, and to get that checked.
I love that. So important.
Yeah, it really is. Now we have one more question. Well, first of all, listeners, Dr. Sue has what you call a midlife personality quiz. And I would like for you to share with my listeners, where can you find that quiz? And what can you find out about the quiz?
Yes. So you can go to drsuemccready.com, and it'll say right there, take the quiz. Then you can push that button and answer 11 questions. And what you'll find out is your strengths. So to sum this up, I kind of bucket midlife mamas into 4 categories. The visionary mama, the inspirational mama, the giver mama, and the detail mama. And the visionary mama, I think of Beyonce. She'd be like, twirl on them haters. You know, she's going somewhere. She's got her vision and she's going. You know, the downfall of some visionaries is they can have rough and tumble with relationships because, you know, they've got a vision and they might just plow some people over in the way to get there, you know. Then the inspirational mamas are what they sound like. They're inspirational. They see the glass as half full, right? The problem, their downfall is like everything looks great. Shiny objects are everywhere, so they can get very distracted. Right. And then the giver mamas, like it sounds like they're the givers. They're like the mama of all mamas. We all have those in our lives, hopefully. You know, the person you just go to and you just bury your head in there. They're like, they just wrap your arms around their giving to them is as easy as breathing. The downfall of the giver mama is she can become a doormat, you know, like people step on her. You know, and she's like, why am I resentful? Why are you resentful? Because boundaries, girl, boundaries. Right. And then the detail mama, I love the detail mamas because I surround myself with details. Like I say, the divine is in the details. The divine is in the details. And if you aren't looking at those details, dotting your I's, crossing your T's, getting into the spreadsheets, looking at the details of life, you may miss a pattern, like a big pattern. And so the detail mamas, they're like the spreadsheet makers. They're the people who are like, listen up, Sue, you're going here, you're picking up this group here, and you're taking them there. You know, they're just like, they got it all together. The downfall of the detail mama is perfectionism. They're so busy dotting their I's and crossing their T's, they may not get off the starting block. You know, it's never quite good enough. Right. So getting in there and learning, you know, and the truth is, Cassandra, we all have all parts of these, right? But we tend to like hang out and hover in one or two. And so once you learn what your gifts are, you can really accentuate your gifts and highlight some key problem areas. And then I'm an inspirational mama. So my biggest downfall is details. So I hire detail people. I have my VA who does all the techie stuff, right? I have a business coach and consultant who is a detail mama. I hire these people so that I'm surrounded by them, you know, and that helps, you know, I learn through them. So I grow that as well, but I don't try to take their beauty is like, and that's a big thing about what I love of all the mamas coming together, as you know, in your community, right? Like to me, that's where the magic is. Because you'll just have each of us like calling each other forward. You know, Sue, get a plan, follow it. Let's go, you know?
Okay. I love that. My listeners out there, just so you'll know, whether you care or not, I'm a detail mama. And I already know my fault is perfectionism. Everything has to be right. But I just encourage you to take that personality quiz. As Dr. Sue indicated, we all have pieces of it within ourselves, but yet it's fascinating to me. And I just also, we're going to have to wrap up this podcast, unfortunately, for me, because I'm enjoying this conversation. Dr. Sue, is there anything you want to share with the listeners that are stuck? They know what it is that to live their best life on their terms, but they're struggling getting there. Any advice?
I think my biggest advice, this is another question I like to ask, is in that moment, like when you're sitting there and maybe you're stuck or you're overwhelmed or you're scared or whatever, like kind of disempowering place you're in, I like to ask the question, what would love do? Like if you were to embody love, because I believe our natural essence and our natural state is love. Like we really know. That's why it feels so comfy when we're in a loving state. That's why it feels beautiful and expanding when we're in a loving state. And it's not a contracted place, because usually in those contracted places, when we're stuck or overwhelmed or scared or fearful, we're in a fear-based state. The opposite is love. So just getting curious and asking, what would love do? Because love love, like, I don't, you probably can rip off the scripture, but it's a lot of things.
It is. Right.
And sometimes love lays down some serious boundaries.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes love is like opening up and getting vulnerable. Sometimes love says, give yourself more grace. You're being too hard on yourself. So I think the possibilities are endless. So that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, that's good. Love is the greatest. It is the greatest. Well, Dr. Sue McCready, I want to thank you. And you are so right. God's greatest gifts come in fascinating packages. And I am so grateful for all the nuggets which you're bringing to the world. I am glad you're in a good place and you're living your best life. That's a beautiful thing. And listeners, as I always say to you, and I said in the beginning, please share this podcast with individuals that you know this will be a blessing, particularly those who've had miscarriages. And just to hear what Dr. McCready said about that, just faith had so much to do with that as well. And I again thank you. And as I always say to my listeners, God bless you. God bless you, Dr. McCready. And bye for now. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening. If you've been enjoying our empowering conversations, make sure you don't miss out on future episodes of Is Your Way in Your Way podcast. Stay in the loop with all the latest episodes. Join our mailing list over at CassandraCrawley.com. And before you go, hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe now. Until next time, let's get ready to live your best life.